welcome. This is Mouse Gunner, and we're back with some more Factorio. And we're going to be doing more things with trains this time, but we're going to be incorporating the blueprints that we learned about in the last video. And Rotype, tell us all about it.
So I had delayed working on trains a bit until we got blueprints and discussed blueprints, because if you remember, laying track previously had been, pick the track, find this little arrow, draw it out, and you can only draw like 6 or 10 tracks at once. Then you got to do the next section, and it's just kind of tedious. The other way of doing it is related to blueprints. You can click the little green arrow, and if you're holding shift when you click the green arrow, you get the ghost mode planning. I mean, it's similar to shifting, shift clicking on an assembling machine or anything else. And here you can kind of infinitely draw your track. You can just drag it all over the place. And if you drag it into the middle of a forest, it'll kind of try to smart route its way through the forest. So that's kind of handy, except for the fact that if you then push it, you just get the ghost. You don't actually get the track. So if you have robots, that's nice. They'll then go in and fill it out. But if you don't have robots, that's still a little bit tedious. You got to go in and fill out the track. So the even better way to do it is to download a mod. The mod is called Fully Automatic Rail Layer, which is this train, this front one. The back one is a normal locomotive. So I can open this. I can change the color to, whatever I want. This one is Farl, Fully Automatic Rail Layer. If you open it up, it looks pretty normal. If I change the color, I can't actually change. We didn't used to be able to change the color, but now you can change the color. But this is Farl, and it is a locomotive that fully automatically lays rail. And it can be a little confusing the first time you try it, but once you ever want to lay rail yourself again. So I'll talk about how to do that. So you get in, normal tab to get in, and you get this little box
Or
on
enter.
the top left. And
I think enter is the normal default.
That's true, I guess. Yeah, whatever your normal hotkey is. You get in, you get a little box on top, and I realize you can't get in while I'm in. And actually, let's see if we can make. Yeah, okay, I can make another thing. I suppose this is a good point. You see here in the manufacturer, you see locomotive, you see Farl is right next to the locomotive. It requires a locomotive, 2 long-handed inserters, and some steel. So, simple enough.
Wait, where did you
also make?
I missed out.
Under the, yep. Under the logistics, if you're crafting stuff, if you want to craft a Farl instead of crafting a locomotive.
Okay, I see. Gotcha.
Just right next to it. It's just a different kind, and next to that, you'll see Farl module. Now, I was going to go ahead and talk about this, but okay. So what we have, if you open up the regular locomotive and you look under the fuel tab, you'll see on the left, fuel, and then the little bar, it's this way, burn through a piece of fuel. And on the right, you'll see equipment grid. And you have this little box, enable a couple of these options and stuff. So this is where you can add modules to your train. So it's like a slot, and you can put different things in it. And this is entirely a modded feature, and I don't use it that much, but it kind of comes along with Farl. So if instead of making a Farl, if you make a Farl module, you can then go in the locomotive and put the Farl module. Let's see where I can find it in my inventory. I made one. There it is. I put the Farl module in the Farl, and now it works like a Farl. Just kind of another way of doing it. And the more you can get different mods that have different modules, and you can do all kinds of fancy things with your trains by putting different modules in them. This is just one that comes with Farl. If, I don't know, for some reason you really don't want to make a Farl, but you want the ability, you can put the Farl module in there. Just thought I'd talk about that. But I believe, so now the reason I did this is because this way, let me detach. So I'm going to pull this one away. Now you should be able to get in, and we should both have the little window that I'm talking about. So we can I can talk about it and we can both see it.
Okay.
So you get the window. The window has all the options. Place signals. I mean, fairly self-explanatory. It's going to automatically place the signals as it goes. Place poles, meaning the electric poles. You can tell it big ones or small ones, but it'll place the poles. Place concrete. You can get it to pave the road. kind of along the train tracks as it goes. Bulldozer means it's just going to tear up the track. And it's actually kind of funny because, it is a locomotive, so it needs to run on track. I don't use this option very often, but I believe what it does is it removes all of the track except for the like three pieces that it needs to be sitting on at that instant. So as you roll, it'll just place track in front of it and remove the track behind it such that it's pretty much you bulldoze all the other track. I don't use it that often, but it's there. Maintenance will go through and replace things. Like if one of your poles got destroyed, you run through in maintenance mode and it'll not do anything to most of the track, but it'll find, oh, there should be a pole here, and it'll place the pole. And then finally, bridge water means if you have landfill, which we haven't really talked about, but it's exactly what it sounds like, and you drive the Farl over water, it'll use the landfill to fill in the land and then put a piece of track on it. So those are kind of your basic options. If you push the S, you get a bigger box. And here you have kind of the more advanced things. You see all the normal ones. Drop wood stone when full. I guess I'll take a step back. Basically what Farl does is it looks into the cargo wagons it has for its resources, and it uses those to place track, place poles, place signals, and anything else, concrete if you're doing concrete. And when it runs into a tree, it demolishes the tree and puts the tree in the wagon. So it's another really useful thing. If you have a big freaking forest in the way, you can at least run Farl through and you'll at least get a train through. It's not going to bulldoze the whole forest, but it'll bulldoze the things that get in the way of your train, which is really handy. Sometimes your wagon will get full, so you can drop drop the wood and the stone. Stone being those little rocks you can mine those as well. You can drop them when, if your wagons get full, you can uncheck collect wood stone and just not even collect them. It'll just throw them on the ground. You can change the distance between the rail signals. 15 is the default. I tend to up this to, I think, maybe 20 or 25 because I run these longer trains, these 4 wagons and 2 locomotive trains, but you can change it to whatever you want. And then I think most of the rest of this is fairly self-explanatory until we get down to the blueprint stuff. Flip left, right, you put the pole on either side. Whether or not you want to put the poles, you can place walls, you can do concrete. Connect logistics wires will just string a logistic wire, like those green wires we were talking about for the pumps in the last episode. It will run those along the poles along with the regular old electricity wire. So that's, I don't know, handy if you're trying to run a long distance logistics network. And then you get all of these buttons, and this can get really confusing at first. But this is basically how you tell Farl what your design is going to be. How do you want it to lay the rail? So this is why I wanted to wait until we talked about blueprints, because the way you interact with this is with blueprints. So I have a blueprint in my toolbar, and it has a bunch of stuff in it. I saved one. So I'm going to clear it by shift right clicking, and that will just clear that blueprint. So now it's empty. And I'm going to go into my Farl menu. And you can see at the very bottom, it says create blueprint for, it has 2 buttons, vertical and diagonal. So I'm going to push vertical, and you'll see my blueprint now has stuff in it. It has 2 pieces of rail, a pole, some signals, and some walls and concrete and all this stuff. So this is the blueprint that Farl is running on right now. It's like the default blueprint, has all of these things. If you want something else, you can go up here and let's just say I want lights also. I want, every time it places a pole, I want it also to put a light. I want 2 lights. You can do whatever you want. Now I can take a blueprint of this. Let's go ahead and use the same one. So I'm going to clear my blueprint again, and I'm just going to take a blueprint of this, push the green check to say, check, save this blueprint. So now this is the blueprint in my hotbar. Oops, if I push the right button. Oh, there it is. Okay, put this in my hotbar. Now I can get back into Farl. Again, push the S for settings. Now, next to the blueprints tab, there are 2 buttons, read and clear. If I have a valid Farl blueprint on my toolbar and I push read, it's going to tell me saved blueprint for straight rail with big electric pole. It just read that blueprint that I took and saved it into Farl. So now Farl is going to run with that blueprint with the lights that I added because that is the blueprint that I took. So now it's going to run with that one. And you can do this for, well, you have to have a vertical blueprint and a diagonal blueprint for it to function. The vertical one, it just turns, and that's what it uses for horizontal. So you can modify them or you can leave them alone, but this is how you kind of customize Farl. And once you've done that, you can run Farl and it will just place everything exactly as you've blueprinted it. And that's how you control Farl. So did that make sense? I know that was a lot of information.
I think so, but I'm gonna have to see it in operation probably.
Right. So now, because I did that to the back one, you're still on the default. So go ahead and push the start button and just start driving the train.
Oh, just start?
Yep, just start driving. Did you get an error?
It says deactivated, number of straight and diagonal tracks do not match.
Oh, interesting. So it must have taken my blueprint because I'm in the same train as you. Let me take my module out.
It's possible that I was following around along with you. I also put a blueprint in the front train.
Okay, that's fine. So if you have a, Farl problem and it's complaining, generally what you can do under the blueprints thing is you can hit clear. There was the read button we pushed. You can push the clear button and that should clear it all and send it back to default. So if you push that, now try to push start and drive.
Okay.
Okay, so far so good.
It didn't say anything this time. I don't know.
All right, I'm going to take this train out altogether. And we're going to try this. Normally,
how do I hook up?
Farl works just fine. So that is a hotkey. I believe the default is G.
Gotcha. Okay.
There you go. Just connected.
So then I hit start.
I'm going to...
Then just go forward.
Yeah, so that should have worked. I'm going to do a little bit of debugging over here. Put this here. Oh, I just got myself another achievement.
Is the sidedness part of the problem? Was I supposed to flip that?
I don't know if the sidedness is the problem, but I did notice that we are on this kind of pretty narrow track here. We only have one track spacing in between, whereas the default, there are two track spacing in between. If you look out here at this blueprint, you can see there's two track spacing.
Maybe if I delete some of it?
Well, it's possible. I'm going to run a little test case down here. Like I said, I'm going to see if it's the... Oops, this is the wrong way. Pick the train up. Here I go saying, Farl's simple once you figure it out, and had a problem. Okay, let's add some fuel.
Oh, I think one of our mods is bugging out for me because I'm losing all semblance of light. There we go, it's back.
Yeah. The light mods don't always work well with getting in and out of vehicles, I have noticed.
All right, I have a question. This signal here, do you think that might be it? Let's see.
Could be. So I got this one to work. It's not doing the normal kind of double track layout, but you could at least see, if you're watching on my screen, you could see how it just drove off and placed rails the whole way. I'm going to get in up here and see if I can figure out what the deal is, but you can see how I just took off, and in a couple seconds I was already down there and I had the track. You can see how it would be much, much easier to lay rail when you're just driving instead of having to, deal with it piece by piece. Just like it instantly becomes frustrating.
I did remove one of the signals because I wasn't sure if that was a problem, but I will put it back.
What I'm going to do, part of the kind of extra level customization you can do is, make really fancy blueprints for Farl to do all kinds of funny things. We might have accidentally gotten ourselves into that situation because we're in this narrow layout, which is not the default. So I'm going to see if I can work this out, where I'm just going to make the blueprint. You do need the signals though, so I need to grab some signals. Basically, the way it works is it looks for the signals in the blueprint, and that's how it decides what direction and how the blueprint works. If I take this blueprint and hop in, I should be able to read this one in. Read. Missing electric pole. Okay, so it wants an electric pole. Oh, I bet that's it. It can't fit the big electric pole in here, I don't think. So that's why it's complaining.
What about that?
Yeah, let's see. This is turning into a Farl debug day. But the good news is, once I debug it, hopefully nobody else will, because you'll have it figured out. Okay, read. Okay, so now I have that one. Let's see what it says. Number of straight and diagonal tracks do not match. That's what you were getting before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think what is happening there is we've done the straight, I believe, the vertical blueprint, but it does not match our diagonal blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do the same procedure where I hop in, I create blueprint for diagonal. And now this is I'm going to put it over here because it's the default. This is my default diagonal blueprint. As you can see, it's a diagonal piece of track. But I need to modify it for our kind of this narrow setup we have going on here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do this narrow spacing, which I believe would look like this. This might be tough because we definitely aren't fitting a pole in there. Let's see if it'll take that. Put the pole, and I need signals. That one there, and that one there. Take this as a blueprint. This becomes our new diagonal template. Hop back in the train. Put the template on the toolbar. And read. Save blueprint for diagonal rail. All right, now let's try. Start.
There we go.
Yep. Okay, good. So it just needed some blueprint matching. But now you can see, and I'll let you drive. You can just drive along wherever you want, and you can see it placed a pole, it placed signals, and go ahead and drive that thing right into the forest, and you'll watch it pick up the trees. Did you push start first?
Oh, there we go.
You do have to push start every time you get in and out.
Why is it curving?
Well, now it's only dragging. Did you push A or D?
Not that I was aware.
It's pretty touchy, so you could have accidentally tapped it and it turned.
All right. Did I back up too? Because it didn't build the other side.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't pick up that other one, but if you back up, you should be able to. It's usually pretty good at dynamically capturing.
Okay. Start.
Yeah, so you can see if you look carefully, there's little green letters and. So we clearly have something amiss with the second track, but at least we got the one track running. And you just plowed right through the forest. You're just off and running. Yeah. I'm looking at the map here. You're just marching off into the distance.
Well, let me know if I need to stop.
No, I mean eventually you'll run out of track and have to turn around, or you'll be stuck because you run out of track.
Or I run
you
into
hit some water.
Water, yeah. All right, I can path around it though.
That is where if you had landfill and you had the bridge water or whatever the option is checked, it would build some land and just keep going. But you don't have any landfill, and so you're stuck. But yeah, you can start to curve. It will not make junctions for you. So anytime you want to make like a T junction or anything like that, you will have to kind of get out and do it on your own. But for long straight stretches from one piece, you say you have an ore depot or an ore deposit somewhere you want to pick up, and you just got to go all the way out there.
Oh.
It's pretty handy. Yep. So you can make turns. As you can see, it can be pretty touchy with the turns, but it does the job. That looks like an edge of the map. You can see there's a weird sharp line. You get that sometimes when they update the map versions. I'm surprised you haven't found any biters yet, but let me know if you find some uranium. Oh, they're the biters. Well, while he's up to that, I'm gonna figure out why this side did not build with it. I'm gonna come back to the map and you're gonna be like very far away. Okay, now I gotta look. Oh man. I should not have put that many rails in the wagon.
It's actually getting to a point where we're getting. Oh, there we go. That's a good stopping point for, I think, the video. So I just found a big deposit of uranium. So I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the episode here. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. This is Mouse Gunner and Rotype signing out.